All right, we are live. Hello and welcome to the Big Match Theory. I hope all of you guys are well on this Saturday evening. I'm Mangesh and I'm joined by Rohit. And today we are going to talk about something that we haven't discussed much before. I'm not sure if you have discussed it, Rohit, but yeah, especially
Who is
on this
this?
channel.
Ruben? Is that it? What's his name? I wouldn't know.
Of course, we are going to talk about Ruben Amorim and Manchester United. The manager has completed 1 year at the club. So we'll discuss many things. We'll discuss about the results, his record at Sporting Lisbon, and we'll of course discuss his formation 3-4-3. That's one more thing we haven't discussed. I mean, nobody has talked about it before. So yeah, I will talk about the formation. But Rohit, I just want to start with circumstances in which we signed him. So I'll give a quick recap in a couple of minutes. So in 2023-24 season, United finished eighth under Eric Ten Hag. Our performances were absolutely abysmal, but we won the FA Cup. And by beating City quite comprehensively, we won the game 2-0. And if you recall, even that semi-final game was a struggle. We
Yeah,
we were 3-0 up against Coventry at one point, and then
3-3.
we completely and we squandered the lead to 3-3 and only won on penalties. But that happened, and I mean, we all thought that Eric Ten Hag was a goner. That did not happen, and that I mean the reason could be that Ineos was just in charge of the club, and they talked to a few managers, a few candidates. They had meetings with Thomas Tuchel, and they also had a meeting with Roberto De Zerbi. And what happened at the time was, I think Tuchel was not ready for the job at United because he had that whole thing with Bayern Munich
Mhm.
and De Zerbi's. I mean, his wages were just too exorbitant. It was too high, and so United did not go for him. But they decided to give Ten Hag another chance. But after coming back, the abysmal performances continued, and we also need to mention that club also signed a lot of players for Ten Hag. We signed Delict, we signed Lenny Yoro, we signed Ugarte, we signed Mazarawi, and who else did we sign? We signed one more player, Joshua Zirkzee. We signed.
That's it. Yeah.
We signed so many players, and after a defeat against West Ham, the club decided to pull the plug. Van Nistelrooy was in charge as an interim manager who was an assistant to Eric Ten Hag. And club started negotiating with Ruben Amorim, of course. And at the time, Amorim was a bit reluctant to join United mid-season, but the club gave him an ultimatum that it's now or never. And yeah, I mean, Ruben Amorim, considering the size of the club, considering we are still Manchester United, man, and so yeah, he decided to join the club, and it's been a year, man. It's been a year. We can't believe it. And I think Shivram said it. Damn, has it been a year already? Yeah, it has been a year. So Rohit, we can just start with what did you feel when we decided to sign Ruben Amorim? Were you excited? I mean, were you optimistic, or was that the case of oh my God, we are going to ruin yet another manager? What was your feeling at the time?
I think one thing I will say is that it was ambivalent at best because, as you rightly pointed out, we've had, if you think about it, right? I'm just going to take a step back and just look at everybody who stepped in through the doors at Old Trafford, right? Are I'm not going to talk about Moyes because he was only here for 7 months and it was very clearly a misfit in terms of the size and scale of United. Initially our outlook was go for managers that have a certain pedigree, right? That they've proven themselves. They're known quantities. So that's why you go with Louis Van Gaal, you go with Jose Mourinho, and at that point in time, I think we never really challenged for. I mean, we finished second under Jose one season, but we didn't really challenge for the title. Like we were a cup team, and we felt that you know what, maybe Van Gaal is too rigid, and Jose is maybe he's just too abrasive. He's lost his original whatever charm or whatever it was. And the next two managers where we went to was one was Oli, which I thought it was pure. It was mainly counter-attacking football. Didn't really stamp his. We weren't really playing on the front foot. Temporary guy, paid permanent, all of that happened. Then you go to Eric Ten Hag. So the reason I'm going through that is that Eric Ten Hag in some way was an amalgamation of the previous three managers because he had that he had that Dutch sort of style, or he had that little Louis Van Gaalish approach towards sort of possession based football. He tried to. I'm not saying he succeeded. Then when it came to Mourinho, he over the past couple of seasons he had won. He won with Ajax. He got them to the Champions League semi and all of that. And then again, similar to Oli, was a young guy who was probably a little more in touch with the dressing room and all of that good stuff. So they sort of went in with a mishmash of that. Worked for the first season marginally, again went off. The one thing that I appreciated when they got Ruben Amorim is that it was like a blank slate. For the first time, it felt like the club was trying something different. For the first time, it felt like they were going out and getting a manager in who wasn't like a Louis Van Gaal. Sure, he has a very rigid style or an approach of playing football, but he's not one of those guys where he's just like, no, these are my players and that's it. He's not exactly like Jose Mourinho. He's not exactly like Oli or Ten Hag. So he has an approach. I was just excited by the fact that we're getting in somebody who's young, who's hungry, who has proven himself, albeit in a minor league or whatever it is. So there was a bit of excitement, but obviously, given by backstory of the last four managers, it was pretty, ambivalent. And has it really changed? I don't know. But this, he's probably the one manager that I have backed, or he's that one manager I'm like at this point, and we'll get to the players and all of that in a little later. But at this point in 24-25, we needed somebody who's a little pig headed, stubborn, and who's ready to be like, either we do it my way or I lose my job and I'm okay with it. So I think as an appointment, good. Is it a successful appointment? I don't know. But in terms of the ideology, I like it. I like him. I liked him. And I think I will continue to like Amorim.
And I think you made a very good point in the sense for the first time. See, I was very excited by Ruben Amorim's appointment, mainly because for the first time we signed someone who was this bright new thing, right? It was completely removed from the Fergie's sphere of influence,
Hmm.
let's call it, because Mourinho, sorry, I'm sorry, David Moyes and Alex Ferguson, they were cut from the same cloth. They were both Scottish, and Fergie was coached by David Moyes' father at one point in his youth days. And Louis Van Gaal was a great coach, but when he joined United, he realized, of course, Ajax and Barca are great clubs, both big clubs, but he realized that at Manchester United, he had to do a lot of things on his own. Uh,
Hmm.
Ajax and Barca, comparatively, they are very well-run clubs. Uh, at least they were very well-run
Correct.
clubs when Van Gaal was in charge. Then we went for Mourinho, and at the time it felt like, Arya, Mourinho is an obvious choice because City went for Guardiola. We have to go for Mourinho, but we
Right.
signed Mourinho probably 5 years too late. That
Hmm.
that that spell at Madrid completely broke him.
Right.
Then we went for Oli, who was an interim manager, and one of the most daftest thing that the management has done. And I mean, both of us absolutely love Oli. Oli, I personally think he did a much better job than people give him credit for. But at the same time, what these idiots did was giving him a full-time job after winning in Paris. I mean,
Yeah.
at least wait for the season to end. They did not even do that. And right after that game, everything turned to shit. We because after Solskjaer signed, we had such a good rebound that we won so many games. I think 10, 12 games. We lost only one game that was meaningless, which was PSG at home. That did not
Mm.
matter after that. But I mean, after that, we were just complete shit. So the management was absolute mess.
Yep.
Then we went for Louis Van Gaal. I think Louis Van Gaal was a slight change in direction, but again, he was a Glazer's appointment.
Mm.
Manager like Louis Van Gaal need a proper structure. unless until you have a proper structure in place, I don't think manager like Van Gaal, Eric Ten Hag
Ten
can.
Hag,
I'm
yeah.
sorry,
I was
I
just gonna
didn't say.
say that. Yeah.
Yeah. Ten Hag.
Like Van Gaal
I
doesn't
don't.
need structure. He is the structure.
He's the structure. That reminds me of Walter White. I mean, I
Yeah.
am the danger. I am the structure. I am everything.
You
I
know
mean,
what?
Van Gaal. Yeah,
Honestly,
sorry.
on a lighter note, I can
Yeah.
completely imagine Louis Van Gaal playing Brian Cranston's role. I can completely imagine Van Gaal as Walter White. Can't you? I mean, look at some
Yeah,
nut
yeah,
job, some 70-year-old who's just going to be, out with his boxers out of the middle of the street dealing meth and all of that. So yeah.
yeah. But dealing, I mean, box with on the middle of the streets and showing balls if someone
Oh
tries to
yeah, of
challenge him.
course, of course. Challenging
So
Van
yeah,
Gaal? No, not that. Sorry,
no,
go
no,
ahead. Sorry.
not happening. Yeah. But yeah, Eric Ten Hag was a slight shift in direction, but at the same time, Glazers were fully in charge at the time.
Hmm.
Ruben Amorim is completely removed from that Fergie's sphere
Yeah,
of influence. He's a fresh new thing. He's the new appointment. So that's a huge, I mean, sort of huge change, a breath of fresh air. At the same time, I think what I think is, I'll just give me a couple of minutes and then I'll hand it over to you. I think Ruben Amorim, I mean, he's fighting against all the odds, and I have a couple of reasons for it. First is the mismanagement at the club. People think that Manchester United Football Club has been mismanaged ever since Fergie retired. That has not been the case. Manchester United Football Club has always been a mismanaged club,
yeah.
and we literally had two great eras, and that those two great eras were surrounded by absolute chaos.
Garbage. Yeah.
Absolute chaos. I mean, if you read about what happened since when Matt Busby left, just imagine we won the European Cup in 1968 and we were relegated in
Relegated.
1974.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Tommy Docherty, who was in charge at the time, he was fired for having an affair with a physio's wife. I mean, we were absolute bonkers club at the time. And we had two great eras. Just imagine, our 20 titles have been won only between three
Three
managers.
managers. Yeah.
One was in Ernest Magnal back in 1908 and 1911. We don't know anything about him. I personally don't know anything about him. Then Matt Busby and then Alex Ferguson. And so if Amorim wins the title, he will be the fourth Manchester United manager to win the title. Just
Yeah.
imagine
Yeah.
the biggest club in England having just four managers. Right now, it's just three. And compare that with Liverpool, who had Shankly, then Paisley, then Joe Fagan won for a year, then Dalglish, and now they have Klopp
Klopp.
and Slot.
Slot. Yeah.
So the other clubs have been much better at managing that transition period. We have not that. So the people who think that Manchester United became mismanaged right now, I mean, no,
Hmm.
that has not been the Manchester United has always been the mismanaged club. And the second, of course, we have talked length about it, is the formation. I
Hmm.
mean, the 3-4-3 that Ruben Amorim wanted to deploy, that formation has been successful only once in last 60 years in England. And
Hmm.
the reasons could be different. Of course, the times have changed. The only time we have a manager playing three-man defense has won the league was Antonio Conte at
Conte.
Chelsea. Conte at Chelsea. No other. I think it was 1963 Everton or something. Apart from that, that hasn't been the case.
Hmm.
And the reason could be the lack of big backs in England. Now the situation is different because you have a lot of foreign players playing for all the big clubs. So that is completely the scene is different, but still he's fighting against all the odds when he joined Manchester United. Yeah, sorry.
Correct.
I mean, please go on.
No,
Give me
before
your
I go on,
insights.
I think Shuvranshu has come in with some
Yeah,
excellent comments. Maybe we just want to pull them up and you want to go through
yeah,
them
sure, sure,
quickly.
sure. Yeah, back then I felt the way we got Ruben so easily after getting rid of Eric was a little strange because the fact that they got him so easily asked two critical questions. Either Ruben was already decided as an next one by Ineos, and if yes, why did they persist with Eric after 23-24? So, see, this is the confusion, right? I mean, I'm not sure if Amorin was a in that short list of 5 to 6
Hmm.
managers. I'm not really sure of that. I know that because Andy. So, if anyone has athletic subscription, they should read Andy Mitten's latest article about the appointment of Ruben Amorim. It's a fantastic. Andy Mitten is probably the most reliable journalist as far as United is concerned, and he has given his full account. I don't think in that short list of 5 to 6 people, Ruben Amorim was not part of that. I'm not really sure about that. He was shortlisted. I think he was in two. Liverpool considered two managers as a successor to Jurgen Klopp. One was Alonso, and second was Amorim.
Hmm.
But I'm not sure if he was part of United's shortlist. So yeah, if it wasn't, if Ineos wanted to stick with Eric to see how things went, then since it went horribly south middle of last season, they decided to get rid of him. Then Ruben was a panic striking. I mean, that's a fair bit of argument actually. That's a good argument to make. That's a good argument to make.
No, and I'll also tell you. So one of the reasons why, and I'm just going to touch on Ten Hag and Amorim. Why
Yeah,
Amorim does feel like a panic signing or an unplanned signing. Let's call it that. Is that
yeah,
the squad that Amorim? A lot of people give Amorim a lot of crap about last season. I was like, have you looked at the squad from last season?
yeah,
You got in a manager who you know plays three at the back, and you know he's going to start off playing with three at the back, and you give him an absolute, a pile of steaming hot pile of cow dung, which the last year's squad was. You give him, so to give that to a manager who doesn't play that way at all. So I think the one big problem with Ineos was that Champions League final. Look at me getting ahead of myself. That FA Cup final that we that we won. I think that did harm for United more than it did good, because it sort of put United fans in that euphoric sort of, not euphoric, but it sort of clouded over a lot of deficiencies.
true.
And because it was essentially the last match of the season, and you saw the squad celebrating and all of that, I think somewhere the management somewhere decided that, hey, you know what, maybe he has turned a corner. Maybe,
Yeah,
the worst is past, and if we give him a few other players, he's going to get it right. And logic, as Shivranshu mentioned, logic suggested you cut things off then and there. One game is not or should not decide where, the club goes, what direction the club takes. Unfortunately, that happened. They had to wait 6 months, and at that point in time, United were already they had no bargaining power, right? When you're
yeah,
already eighth, ninth, tenth, whatever we were in the table when Ten Hag got sacked, what bargaining power do you have? What are you going to use to lure Xabi Alonso to Old Trafford? What are you going to get to lure, one of the biggies to Old Trafford? Nothing. So you go in with a guy that has something to prove, that doesn't have a whole bunch of clubs running after him, and who is available, which was Ruben Amorim. So he may not have been manager number one on the shortlist, but he was manager number available on the shortlist.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's my version of things.
And how they dealt with it is just basically, see, Manchester United will always be a big club. It will always be a big club.
Yeah, of course.
So for all the managers in the world, even if we are struggling in the second half of the table, if you give if a big manager gets a chance to manage United, he is
Absolutely.
going to take it. More often than not, he is going to take it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No two ways about it. So, but yeah, about that. But
But
moving
before that,
moving
Mangesh,
on.
sorry, let me
Yeah,
let me touch on the formation part of it, right?
yeah,
You know my thoughts. We've had 10,000 discussions and back and forths when it comes to the 3-4-3. The way I look at it, right? And I mean, this is just my thoughts, obviously. It's that I think, we are always confusing formation with ideology or philosophy, right? There's a difference between tactics and philosophy. Man United's philosophy has always been play on the front foot,
yeah,
attack, 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 take risks, right? That's been the United way. It doesn't matter if the same thing was under Busby, the same thing was under Ferguson. It is not governed by a formation. Your philosophy is aided by your formation. Your formation is not defined by your philosophy. What I mean by that is, if you remember Matt Busby used to play some weird ass formation 4-2-2-2 or whatever, and they had a position called halfback, which
yeah,
I think Duncan Edwards used to play.
yeah.
Did they not play attacking football back then? Did they not play that sort of football back then? Of course they did, right?
Yeah, true.
Ferguson started off with a flat 4-4-2,
Yeah,
right? Which was the go-to formation back in the 80s and the 90s, right? It
true.
worked brilliantly for Fergie because Fergie knew how to get things out of it. But Fergie also played not successfully, but he played a 4-3-3.
Yeah.
If you remember when he started playing Veron, Scholes, and Keane in a midfield three, Fergie eventually at the end of his career was not playing a 4-4-2. He was playing a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
Rooney had gone into that 10 role behind either a Berbatov or a Van Persie or a Welbeck. So, what I mean by that is, as long as the guys at the top, we have an ideology in mind that our football needs to be attacking. Our football, we can't be a club that sits back, absorbs pressure, hits people on the counter attack with 38% possession. No. It doesn't matter what formation you use. If you like, I agree with like when you say that Amorim's teams were difficult to watch last year. They were. Obviously, his record speaks for itself. It was garbage last season. It was because of the squad more than the manager. Because the thing with that is, see, when you go out and you want to clean the sewer, and when this sewer of Old Trafford is something that you would see in, I don't know, Kurla or I don't know, some weird ass suburb of Mumbai, it needs a lot of effort. It needs a lot of time. So last season was, I think, just Amorim trying to understand what is the garbage in my sewer, in my pipe, and what is the good parts. He's taken some parts of the garbage out. Some parts are still in it. Fair enough. But now what we are seeing, right? I'm not saying we are playing champagne football. I'm not saying we are going to win the league. We are far from it. 3-5. I don't even know if we'll win the league under Amorim. But the one thing I like about that guy is that he stuck to his beliefs. The people who haven't adapted to the manager's beliefs have been thrown out. He's been given some decent players to play with. Now it is on him to succeed. Fair enough. But at least he's doing it his way. At least now we are seeing attacking football, right? We didn't win the
Yeah.
last 2 weeks, but we saw both of us saw those games together. Were we bored at any point of time during the game? No.
No, no,
Were we
no,
bored
not at all.
against were we bored against Liverpool? No. Were we bored against Brighton or whatever? No, we weren't.
Not at all. Not at
And
all.
that's all I'm asking for, right? He has
Yeah.
that formation now, which is getting closer to the ideology.
Yeah.
It's a very long idea, but I wanted to sort of, elaborate. So that's my understanding. I don't know what you think, Nagesh. Also, we have a
Like,
few comments coming in, so I just thought
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
let
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure, sure. Let me go through the comments first. And I think, as Shivranshu rightly said, that two good things that happened in the past have actually been detrimental to us. 100%. The Paris win in 2019 and the
100%.
FA Cup win in 2024. I mean,
100%.
that's spot on, Shivranshu. Completely agree. Rohan is saying, I really love Ruben's character, but so much of stubbornness in terms of not being malleable with formations in the Premier League, not sure. We'll come to that actually. We'll
We'll come
of
to
course
that.
talk
Yeah.
about that. We'll
It's a
talk
good
about
point,
that.
Ron. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Another thing which I feel worked against Eric was his inability, or rather stubbornness, to stick with his way.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Yep.
100%.
I agree.
Yeah. Feel like he came in and tried too hard to replicate his Ajax ways without actually looking in depth into the skills of the players at his disposal. But one thing I would say about Ten Hag is he was not backed in the transfer market in the sense he did not get the players he wanted. He did not get the players with the profile he wanted. I mean, it was the strategy of see, we have much. I mean, this transfer window we have much improved. Of course, there is long way to go, but earlier it was just get any player that you want. And
Mm.
the reason Jurgen Klopp decided not to join Manchester United was because Ed Woodward sort of told. I mean, what do you call it? He told. I mean, he described Manchester United as some kind of a Disneyland, and Klopp said that no, this is not for me. And this is exactly what earlier Ed Woodward and his cronies used to do when they were in charge of the club. So maybe that is one factor I think in Ed Ten Hag's detriment. And also, there is a possibility that in the end the club was too big for Eric Ten Hag. It was too big for Terry Tanner. I'm not saying he did as he bombed as much as Moyes did, but in the end he could not manage it. He
Mm.
simply could not manage it. Also, one more comment by Rohan. Interesting observation by Ole on the Overlap podcast was the fact that 3-4-3 works really well when team press high, with high tempo, not with teams sitting deep. That's true.
Yeah, he was
That's
on the
really true.
podcast this week, by the way. I
Yeah, yeah,
remember. I think he was talking about a game that Liverpool played against FC Basel or something of that sort that he watched back in the day where they
yeah,
played the 3-4-3. 3-4-3, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, true. Uh, and one last point about Ten Hag, he even got in players like Malasia and Anthony, which clearly were just a waste of money. I'm sort of glad Ruben hasn't pushed for it, getting any of his old sporting players. Well, fair enough.
I'll tell you one
That is
thing,
fair enough.
Shivranshu. I'll tell you one thing, Shivranshu. Malasia and Anthony were part of a larger global financial conspiracy to whitewash some of the books of Eric Ten Hag's agency that he deals with. We spent, can you imagine, we spent 90 million on Anthony.
Yeah,
90.
yeah. But that's the thing, Rohit, right? I mean,
I
Ten
know,
Hag wanted the player. The
I know, I
negotiation
know,
part, that completely, I mean, that is completely down to the club.
I know. Yeah.
Those fuckers did not do that. And they have not done that. See, that's what, even that happened under Solskjaer, right? When everyone talks about, Solskjaer paid 90 million for Harry Maguire. Solskjaer did not play anything.
No, yeah.
Solskjaer
These guys
wanted a player.
decided. He wanted a center
Exactly.
half. Yeah,
He wanted a centre half of Maguire's caliber. And even Pep Guardiola was interested in Harry Maguire at
correct.
the time.
And Fred, if
And,
you remember,
and Fred.
Pep was also interested in Fred.
Yeah,
Fred, we spent 50 million. Pep backed out when the price came in. Maguire,
yeah,
we spent 80 million. Pep backed out when the price came in.
yeah,
We went
yeah,
ahead. We signed those two guys, right?
yeah.
There's sorry, go ahead.
No, go on, go on.
Now, I was just saying, there's always a benchmark, right? What is a player worth? And clubs like Liverpool, clubs like City over the past 5 or 10 years, they've known when to when to pull out. Well, that
Yeah,
just sounds wrong, but yeah, they've known when to pull out of such deals and when to
yeah,
stick in, which did happen this season, by the way, for Liverpool, and that's why they're struggling, right?
yeah,
They spend 120 and 130. They have gone back on the years and years of good practices that Michael Edwards set up for them.
yeah,
Like, I don't believe, and Carragher says this all the time, I don't believe that after signing Ekitike, if Edwards was in charge, I don't think they would have spent 130 million
yeah,
on Alexander Isak.
yeah.
But this
True,
time
true.
they did, and now they're screwed. So,
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. All right. So let's talk about last season when once we signed Amorim. So I just trying to remind myself what happened during that time. So I remembered his game against Ipswich. It was 1-1 draw. It was first game in the Premier League.
sorry,
Then
can I just say something? You definitely know times have been bad when Mangesh can't remember what happened and he's trying to remember. Because otherwise, he'll be rattling off scores that I wouldn't even remember happened yesterday. You clearly know it was a bad time for the football club.
see, I remember it was bad. See, the last season has been a kind of blur, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm actually struggling to remember games from the
I don't
last season.
remember. I mean, you know me. I don't remember something that happened like 10 minutes ago. Forget about games from last season. But last season definitely was a blur. Sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
mean to interrupt you. Go on.
No. That's a good point. But I mean, after Everton, we won 4-0 against Everton. I remember our beloved Marcus Rashford scored twice and Joshua Zirkzee scored twice. Then after that, we in the next 7 games, we lost 5 of them. We lost against Arsenal, Forest, Bournemouth, Wolves, and Newcastle. But the 2 games we did not lose. One was at Etihad when we made that late comeback when we
Oh,
won
Ahmad's
2-1,
goal, right?
Ahmad's goal.
Okay, right.
And the second game was two-all draw at Anfield, which in my
That I do
opinion,
remember, yeah.
that was the best performance of the last season.
Yeah.
We were really, really good in that game.
Yeah.
So that game gave some kind of encouragement. And Abhishek made a really good point, I think, a few weeks back. What he said was that we did not have any kind of rebounds when we signed the Amorim.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, we never got
we
that.
had that. We never got that. We had that
Hmm.
when we signed Solskjaer. Even when David Moyes left, we were good for a couple, at
Hmm.
least 4 games.
Yeah.
And who was in charge? Ryan Giggs was in charge.
Hmm.
And we were okay. But last season, we just did not have that
Yeah.
feeling. And what kept us going was the first thing was that win against Arsenal in the FA Cup.
Hmm.
We defeated them at Emirates, and of course, we
Yeah.
won on penalties, but it was a good result. And the second thing was the Europa League. And we
Right.
were really, really good. I mean, the only game in the Europa League we lost was the final.
The final,
We,
yeah.
we actually did really well in the group stage. We did really well in the knockouts because I clearly remember knockout games. We defeated Real Sociedad. We can always talk about Leon game. Of course, it was an absolutely ridiculous chaos, that 5-4 game. But we
Hmm.
won that game. Then we defeated Athletic Bilbao.
Right.
Both of those performances were absolutely fantastic because Athletic Bilbao are not dummy. Winning
No.
that in Bilbao,
We
even though we could
thrashed
not
them
do it in,
away, but we
we
thrashed
thrashed
them
them
away.
away.
Yeah.
We thrashed them away. Both home and away, we were absolutely fantastic. So that gave us some false sense of security, at least about the final. But one thing I can say that I am a bit glad that we did not win the final last year
I
because
agree,
we
100%.
we would have been completely screwed in this season Champions League final. Yeah, we would have been completely screwed.
Imagine a 2 game a week Casemiro. You probably have covered 3 kilometers over 90
Yeah.
minutes by the end of the second game. No, I agree. And I think, if I were to sort of hark my mind back to Arteta's not success story, he's not won anything. I had to get that in. But Arteta started getting good after he had that one season without European football.
True.
Right? If you remember the season that Arsenal challenged for the title, the first season, I think it was, Arsenal weren't playing in Europe.
Yeah.
I think maybe I don't know. I
No, they
very
didn't.
very frequently get my facts wrong, so please feel free to fact check me.
No, I
But
think they finished fifth in, so they
acha,
were still playing
okay,
Europa League. Huh.
okay,
But
okay.
before that, for those 2 seasons when they finished eighth or ninth,
Eight, they weren't in
yeah,
Europe, right? So
they
I'll
did
tell
not have.
you
Yeah, yeah,
what happened there. Now, I think when you're playing that once a week or whatever it is, when you're playing not too many games, right? When your squad isn't equipped mentally or physically to handle that sort of duress, it is always better to bottom out and then start building. What has happened with United over the past 10, 15 or whatever number of years, right? It's like, you want to rebuild this house, you want to beautify
yeah,
this house.
yeah.
Every little piece of logic tells you that you need to completely strip this house down and build it back up brick by brick. But because the fans are impatient, because the financial implications of not playing in certain competitions is hard. COVID hit and that hurt the club's finances. What we've been doing is we've just been doing what is referred to in Mumbai as a thukpatti job. We've not had any sort of a proper revival. We've not stripped the house down to build things back up. We've been papering over cracks. We've been doing paint jobs and trying to showcase that everything's good. We've maybe just changed the kitchen in one season, just changed the furnace in the other. What
True.
has happened, or what we are trying to do now through sort of like this reset, and where this not playing in two competitions helps, is you are actually trying to build it back up brick by brick. No one expects Amorim to win anything this season. No one
Yeah.
expects him to even finish in the top four this season. No one even expects him to finish in the top six this season. If he does, great. If he finishes seventh, and we are on this trajectory that we are on, the way we are playing right now, if that gets us to sixth or fifth, I will be ecstatic because I know
Yeah.
the rebuild is actually going the way it is supposed to.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, start. Burn it to the ground and then start, right? Because
Yeah.
there is no other way right now for United.
Mm.
Because there are so many holes, including the one at in Old Trafford
Yeah.
roof, and there are so many holes right now in the squad at the club level. And one thing I would say about Ruben Amorim is, even when he was at his worst, he always talked like a Manchester United manager. At no point, so imagine listening to Ten Hag's press conference after a defeat. It was, oh my God, it was a shit show. Ten Hag
Yeah.
had
It'll
zero charm.
put you to sleep in a minute.
It put what you say. Ten Hag did not have charm at all. Ruben Amorim reminds us of Mourinho, of
Yeah.
course, and we forget that he's the first millennial manager at Manchester United.
Yeah.
So he has that bit of an element that he's not a complete. in-your-face manager like Mourinho was. I mean, Mourinho was supremely charming. He had probably the most zingers we have ever seen in football. In the football world, I can't think of any other player or manager
No.
who has had so many great quotes. I think Mourinho is that. But at the same time, Mourinho was always a bit abrasive. He was
Yeah.
aggressive. Ruben Amorim comes across as a charming man. He's confident. Of course, he's an emotional man, and of course, like he did against Grimsby, he was angry. That is going to happen. But
He
even when
cried
he
apparently after one of the games. That I
is
read
that
this
so?
in the Athletic. He got so angry apparently that he had tears in his eyes. Out of anger, not cried as in
Yeah, of course, of course,
he
of
was
course, of course.
unhappy. But
Yeah,
apparently he was so furious that he had tears in his eyes. I think
yeah.
I don't know if Mitten or somebody wrote about it recently.
Oh. So you're basically saying that he did not cry like Luis Suarez did?
Oh, please. I mean, hey man, it's a Saturday. It's a Saturday morning. I've only had one cup of tea. Please don't invoke Luis Suarez and get my blood pressure up. You know, I don't use the word hate very often, but there's one player I absolutely detest. It's that little
Yeah,
rat.
true. I mean, I have a list. I have a big list, but still, Luis Suarez. I mean, in top three players, I have is Thierry Henry, Luis Suarez, and John Terry. Of course, Thierry Henry is more of a
Huh.
respect, but I
Huh.
simply cannot stand Terry and Suarez. But of
Mine
course, we can
is
talk about. Yeah,
mine.
go on
Sorry,
then.
just to finish that point. Mine are probably Luis Suarez, Joey Barton, and probably a toss up between Terry and McManaman. Maybe I don't know. Maybe Terry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good list. I mean, that's a proper United fans list, right?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Yeah,
But of course,
yeah,
Terry for me is begrudging because Terry was an insane defender.
yeah,
But
yeah,
he's one of those, but he is a rat. So,
yeah. He is a rat. Yeah, of course. So yeah,
oh, we
coming
do
back to
have
the point.
comments, huh, Mangesh. Sorry, I keep
Oh,
interrupting,
sorry, I'm
no,
sorry.
but
I'm
let's
so
go
sorry. I'm
through
sorry.
the
Yeah,
Shivranshu
sure.
and Rohan have some great comments. And so,
Okay. All right. Also, I feel for the longest time we have been terrible at scouting. We have had so many holes in terms of squad depth in so many key positions, and we have punted on so many players for cheaper. Yeah, because we are basically punting with players even now, and but we are doing that
yeah,
with 100 million type players. Figures, yeah, fair enough. Some players that come to mind that we could have punted on: for Antonio Silva, Lucas Bergwijn. Yeah, fair enough, man. Fair enough. It's like I think at times we got the feeling that Ed Woodward. I think he just goes through the Twitter feed of Manchester United fans, and he decides to sign, or he goes to some FM or football manager, and he checks their ratings and he signs the players. I mean, you need players who fit the profile of your squad.
yeah.
And I mean that is yet to happen at United, but still there is some start. Okay. Yeah, and Rohit rightly said that I'm surprised that we didn't we didn't go for Palinia. The way we have 100 billion. Chalo, let's go to the best player available. Overpaying instead of yeah, true.
It's like you're on the. It's like you remember that episode of Sopranos when they're on the poker table and that guy that is already lost. I don't remember the name of the character, but the guy that has already lost a whole bunch of money still keeps playing, and now he's in debt with Tony.
Yeah,
That's how
yeah,
United are. Oh,
yeah.
we spent 90 million on Pogba. Didn't work. Here's another 90 million on Anthony. Oh, didn't work. Oh, here's another 80 million on this guy, 90 million on that guy. That guy. I mean,
True.
hey, Rohan had a good question, huh, Mangesh? Thoughts on whether Ineos is doing a better job than their predecessors?
Uh, see, I mean, it's still early. The one positive thing that we can say about them is I think Rohit mentioned it earlier that at least they are trying something different. They're at least trying something. They have they have assigned people like your Omar Barada and Jason Wilcox
Hmm.
who have worked at City. They might
Hmm.
not be in the same role. I think Jason Wilcox was in charge of academy at Manchester
Was he?
City. Yeah. I think so. I think so.
But they
So
got some great players in the academy. Look at Oscar
yeah,
Bob
yeah,
now. Look at Rico Lewis. Look at all those
yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Phil
So
Foden.
basically,
Good God.
most definitely. So I think we are improving on that department. Uh, still there is long way to go because I'll give you something. So basically, what Ruben Amorim did was he had a bomb squad that he decided that I am not going to play these five players.
which he
I I,
announced.
I don't understand why this was announced. Once you announce that you don't want that player, I mean, I mean, do you think that people are going to pay for them?
No,
And
of
this is
course not.
exactly what happened. This is exactly what happened. This shouldn't happen. I mean, this should have been avoided at any cost. So this is something Ineos. I don't know. I think it's still early. Second thing is the way we got Ruben Amorim. Again, it was. I mean, we might end up doing well. Amorim might be a success in the next 10 years. You never know. But
Hmm.
it was a reactive approach.
Hmm.
It wasn't proactive approach. When City signed Pep Guardiola, they were building for it for about 2 to 3 years. We did not do that.
Hmm.
We just went for the hottest manager in town. Thank God, in the last few weeks, it's been working well. But
Hmm.
again, it's a long way to go. Rohit, what
Yeah.
are your thoughts?
Um. Yeah, I think I echo what you said here. I think it's better than before, but the before is such a low standard that you really can't do any worse. Can you
Yeah,
do worse than watching Ed Woodward trying to run a football club?
yeah,
No. I mean, so I think what you said is right. I think they're doing something different. They're sticking by their guns. And everybody is taking accountability. And one more thing is that when they are recognizing that something isn't working, they are taking action. Who was the guy that we threw out? The English guy,
Dan Ashworth.
Dan Ashworth, right? Dan Ashworth. They got him in. Whatever went down, at least they took a decision of going away. That's a tough call to take if you think about it.
Acted quickly. Yeah,
They acted quickly. Now, on the flip side, logic suggested that Amorim should and could have been sacked either at the end of last season or sometime at the start of this season. They didn't do it. That also takes a different level of balls, right? In terms
yeah,
of in both these cases, they haven't gone by what general consensus was.
yeah,
Ashworth had just come in. Oh shit! How will it look if we sack him right now? No, we sack him. Amorim. Oh, everybody's clamoring for his exit. Everybody's saying that he doesn't have an idea. The formation doesn't know. Blah blah blah. They still stuck by it. So the only thing that I is that, and it's a sign of somebody who knows what they're doing, right? When you take unpopular decisions and you're okay to stick by them and be like, you know what, if it doesn't work, I take responsibility. That's fine. That's fine. I'd rather do that than have Ed Woodward, just going into Twitter and typing "We Man United plus defensive midfielder" and then spending 70 million on Casemiro or whatever it was. So in that sense, is it great? Of course it's not. But is it better than the predecessors? Hell yes. Hell yes.
the, I mean, and see, on the same note, what Andy Mitten suggested that Ruben Amorim did not feel. Of course, he felt the pressure of the result,
Hmm.
but he did not feel too much pressure from Ratcliffe
Hmm.
or the management about the
Right.
result because Jim Ratcliffe has been continuously, constantly in touch with Ruben Amorim. They
Hmm.
always have meetings. He always briefs the management. Amorim always briefs the management.
Right.
So there has been a communication which we did not have when Glazer and Woodward were
Right.
in charge.
Right.
We forget that Glazers are still in charge, but at least the footballing side of things, Ineos
Hmm.
is managing,
Hmm.
and let's see how they do it. We don't know for sure.
We
For
don't
for
know.
all
Of
we
course, we
know,
don't know. Yeah.
everything will go to shit after the international break. It
Could be.
can happen. It can happen. You never know. But right now, I mean, we have to give them some credit.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. Got a few questions. Shuvranshu says, "Do you feel a little sad that what would have happened if we didn't get the Saudi? I think even it's the Qatari owners. I
Yeah,
don't know, man. I think you go in with Qatar, and I don't want to get into the whole morality of all of that.
yeah,
That's not a discussion for me or anyone to have. But I mean, would I have been happy? Of course. The stadium would have been fixed. The training ground would have been fixed. We, wouldn't have had to wait 35 weeks to go out and sign Brian Mbumo. That probably would have been solved a little earlier. But yeah, to your point, recruitment would still be shit. Maybe they get better people in. I don't know, man. It's all ifs and maybes. But what we have right now is Eneos. Would I have wanted Qatar? Sure, for the money and for everything that comes with it. Sure, but again, I'm not losing sleep over it. None of us fans are.
Yeah.
Anshuman is asking what happens with Kobe Mainu, especially with. Let's take that question at the end.
Yeah.
Shuvran says Amarim wasn't sacked yet. With United, we never know. Every time we think it's taking time, we take a U-turn. I agree, and that's essentially what it is, right? When you talk about a club that is still in rebuilding phase, there are going to be ups and downs. When
Yeah.
we say that, we expect the club to finish in sixth or eighth or whatever it is, the results will also be like a club that's finishing sixth or eighth. There will be those ups and downs. There will be those weeks where it's all gone to shit. But so far, at least, prima facie evidence suggests might as well stick out with Amorim till the end of the season. If you're still like 8th, 10th, and the results are absolutely not coming, of course he gets the sack. No one's immune from it. Finally, I think let's start maybe with you on this one, Mangesh. So, Anshuman is asking what happens with Mainu, especially with Casemiro likely to extend his contract and Bruno being irreplaceable, because I think this question also dovetails really well with the whole formation part, where in that 3-4-3, you essentially need two sixes. You don't technically need an eight. So the ideal situation would probably be a Baliba and Elliot Anderson, or maybe a Manu could possibly play, but Manu won't play till Bruno is there. What do you think with that formation and Amorim being the way he is with Bruno? Do you think we could end up losing one of our brightest prospects?
See, none of us wants to lose Kobe Mino. I think he's
Of
one of,
course.
as you rightly said, he's one of the brightest prospect that's come in recent times
Correct.
since ever since Marcus Rashford. Because Marcus Rashford, when he came out, we were just maybe after Mason Greenwood, whatever happened with him, but
Uh-huh.
Mason Greenwood was absolutely fantastic
He
under
was. He
Solskjaer or
was.
even Ralph Ragnick. Yes, and there is also a comment about Ragnick. We'll
Yeah,
go to
yeah,
that
yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry if I missed that. My bad.
No worries, no worries. So basically, what see, Ruben Amorim has made it clear that Mainu needs to improve his performances.
Hmm.
We also forget that Kobe Mainu is only 19-20.
Hmm.
He is not a finished product by any
Right.
stretch of imagination. Right now, one thing Mainu is excellent at, he is very good at carrying the ball.
Hmm.
Right now, when we are playing two men in the midfield, as far as passing is concerned, I think Casemiro and Bruno, they're ahead of Kobe Mino right now.
Hmm.
So what we can expect, see, it's very easy for me and you to just sit here and say, oh, well, Kobe Mino
Of
should
course.
do this, especially when you have World Cup next year.
Correct.
So yeah, I mean, we can say whatever we want, but playing in the World Cup is going to be every player's ultimate dream.
Dream. Of course.
Yeah. We of course and it seems Kobe Mino doesn't want to leave the club. He wants to go somewhere
What
on
a
loan.
loan.
Yeah. And that's a fair shout. And I felt last season, whenever Mainu played, if you recall in the Europa League, Mainu played in slightly attacking position in that
10,
10
almost
role,
like a 10. Yeah.
almost like a 10, and he was absolutely fantastic.
Hmm.
So because of his ability to carry the ball, because of his I mean, he is always unfazed by the pressure. We
Hmm.
we can talk about we talk about the famous 4-3 game. We forget that Mainu scored in that game.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has scored some crucial goals for United
Goals.
before turning 21, and that's quite something. So I
But
personally, yeah, yeah, go
sorry,
on.
no.
Sorry,
I just want to make a point. Also, it said like we talk about we use Mainu as a stick to beat Amorim with. Right? He's not giving youngsters
yeah,
a chance. Well, I mean, the youngster has to fight his way into the team, right? Because
yeah,
you talk about Bruno and Casemiro. Bruno, look at his numbers.
yeah,
Look at what that guy does. I mean, sure, is he frustrating? Of course, he's frustrating, but geniuses are frustrating, and he is by far the only guy I'd say comes close to being called a genius at this football club.
yeah.
He's the
He's
only
one of
guy
the
from
he's one of the best players in the league right now, and
100%.
we don't talk
Not
about
right
that
now, in
often.
the last 5 years.
Most definitely, most
You look at
definitely.
his numbers in the last 5 years, he's probably among the top three, top five best attacking outputs in terms of assists and goals in the league. He's
100%.
world class.
He
Casemiro,
is world
as
class. Yeah,
old as he is, the guy has 5 Champions Leagues.
yeah,
The guy is one of Madrid's legends. Even with his, you know, he's coming to the end of his career.
Sorry.
Does Mainu have the positional awareness? Does he have the strength as Casemiro? No, he doesn't. So it is for Casemiro. See, the one mistake that we made with the likes of Martial, Rashford, Pogba, and all these guys is we always assume that it's the club's duty and responsibility to bend over backwards to accommodate players. Nope. It is the player's responsibility to keep performing, knock on the door, and bloody bang that door down and get into the club. You think players like Darren Fletcher, if you remember, only really got his due probably in the 08, 09 or the onwards, right? 8, 9 onwards is when he really got his due. Before that, oh, he's just another David Beckham. Oh, he's only in the team because he's Fergie's illegitimate
Son.
child. He's this and that. He had to fight his way through
Yeah.
because you are at United. The same with Mino. We made that mistake with Rashford, Martial, and all these guys, if you remember. Martial and Rashford, everybody was like, oh, Rashford has to play in his favored position. Oh, Martial, I would rather see Mourinho sacked before Martial and Pogba leave the club. What happened? You sacked Mourinho. Those other two guys didn't do shit. And eventually they left the club too. The same thing with Rashford. Rashford was always, oh, he wants to play down the left, he plays down the left. He can't do a job apparently down the right, so we don't play him down the right. He doesn't have the physicality, so we only play him in one position. But what happens when he doesn't play? Right? You don't want player power, or you don't want to hype somebody up to the extent that you just want them to kind of drive the bus. No, they're not. They're not bus drivers.
Rohit, just give me one moment. I'll
Yeah,
be
take your
back.
time.
Just
Don't
give me a
worry.
moment.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
So yeah, adding to that point, and okay, you know what? Let me take this opportunity to go through the comments. Shivranjan, even
Okay.
Hayden Acne from Borough could have been a good option. Yeah, could be. I mean, he still is, right? I mean, I think I definitely, you know what? I for a moment also think United will do something in the market in January. I don't know if it's going to be something on loan or we sort of make like a signing on the cheap or whatever it is. But I think we will see a midfield signing. Rohan says we have to make peace with the fact that at this point we're a mid-table team, like how Klopp and Arteta were given time. Absolutely, man. We need to give him time, and we need to understand that we are building this. Not we, that the club is being built up from bottom to all the way to the top. So I agree. Shuvranju says, but we really need to start looking beyond Casemiro, not with somebody who's approaching 30 in a couple of years. I get your point. I absolutely get your point. But the answer to that again is not my no, right?
Yeah.
So do we need a defensive midfield? Absolutely. And I think the club is already looking in that direction because now we have another guest. We have
And
a different
this rascal,
furry friend this time.
yeah. So this rascal was banging on the window continuously. So I
Oh
had to
God.
let him in. Ikde bus ani bug. I had to let him in. So that's the reason I.
This could very well turn into a Tom and Jerry episode if I get my dog, but she's currently in the yard doing stupid things. So, no, I agree,
Yeah.
Shivranju. I think, yeah, but the club recognizes it, which is why I think we went in for Baliba in the summer. And I think we will make that signing either in January or in the coming summer. Also, another which is worked brilliantly that they don't stick with players for emotional reasons. What a great point. When they felt Silva, Fernandinho, even KDB were not needed, they were ruthless in moving them on. The flip side to that, Shivranju, is that yes, they weren't emotional and they were okay moving them on, but they were also equipped to replace them with good players.
Yeah.
Like they were okay with, Silva isn't doing it anymore. They had a Foden. Fernandinho wasn't doing it anymore. They have a Rodri. They have a Nico Gonzalez, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
When KDB isn't working, they go out and they sign Tijani Reinders. So I think they're smart enough to definitely not have that emotional thing where they are constantly on it and oh no, we need to keep them because they're our people and they bleed red and all that bullshit. But at the same time, they are smart enough to have those replacements ready. United are neither of those two things. We have players that stay on for too long. I mean, fucking Phil Jones was at this club for 10 years. And the last 5 of those, he was a vegetable. Then, there have been so many players who outstayed their welcome. Also because the replacements that we signed for them were absolute shit. So,
And see, this is exactly what Alex Ferguson used to do, right? And we don't want to get into that, oh my God, good old Fergie days. But this is what Ferguson was so good at, man. I mean, there was no room for emotions at all. Just imagine the way he got rid of Brian Robson in '94 season.
yeah.
I mean, one of
Because
the
he had
greatest
Keane,
players.
right? Because he had
He-
Roy Keane in his squad.
So he made sure that he got Keane, and after that, he just got rid of him. He just got rid of
Yeah.
him. So this is something Alex Ferguson was capable of. And after all the players, he's someone like Solskjaer. I mean, of course, Solskjaer was tough, but Solskjaer, I think, was trying to be too nice.
Let her play, man. Don't throw her away. Let her play. It's fun. It's fun
Uh,
watching her on screen.
no, no, she will. But I feel that he will chew the wire. That's the reason I'm just he has
Oh,
done it in the past. That is the reason I'm just trying to
okay.
इकडे बस इकडे बस.
Ah.
थांब रे सोन्या. बस
Moving on
बस.
process doesn't start from day. Yeah, I agree with Shivranshu. He says that the moving on process doesn't start from the day they're gone. Starts a few years before, and it's not like we never had that. We did. We lost that. When and how? I'll tell you. When the old man retired, and the people that replaced him and David Gill were absolute nincompoops. That's where we lost it, and we haven't found it. I'm not sure if we have found it now, but at least we're on the track of improving things. So
No, yeah, true. That is true. And Rohit, do you finally want to talk about the formations?
I'm happy to talk about formation. How would you start
Yeah.
off?
Yeah. So basically, the thing is, of course, I talked about it that the formation hasn't been successful before in England before, only once in 2017, and that was also a makeshift formation because Antonio, a lot of players, I think, who got injured at the time, John Terry got injured at the time, so Antonio Conte decided to change the formation in the middle of the game, in the second half of the game against Arsenal, and the thing with this formation is when you're getting a new manager, he has new ideas. Amarin did not have any time to deploy his ideas. He did not have any time to sort of get process in place.
Hmm.
Now, when the new manager is trying to build something new. First of all, you need to give him every fucking thing he wants.
Hmm.
It is quite clear that when we are playing 3-4-3, you need, as you rightly said, you need two sixes.
Yeah.
You need someone who is good on the ball, and you need players with insane energy. Chelsea had N'Golo Kante and Matic,
Matic.
two absolute champions who at the time were, I think, 25, 26, not more
Hmm.
than that.
Hmm.
I mean, N'Golo Kante next year won the bloody World Cup,
Hmm.
and we signed Matic.
Yeah.
I mean, he was, of course, a very good player. And right now, the state of the club is, of course, we have signed attackers, and probably that's one thing. I think, see, this is what happens, right? We just speculate and we rely on people who give us information. We don't know what actually happens in the background. We don't know if it was Amarim's call not to sign a central midfielder, or did Amarim prioritize attacking players over a holding midfielder, or was the other way around? We have no idea of knowing that.
Hmm.
In my opinion, one position that we need to fix is holding midfielder.
Hmm.
Michael Carrick left in 2018, and we haven't had that player ever since. I mean, a lot of people think that McTominay was that man. No, he
No,
wasn't.
clearly not. Can you see him at Napoli now?
Yeah. He's having a time of his life while
Yeah.
playing as an attacking player, but he always was a box-to-box midfielder.
Hmm.
Fred always felt he was a box-to-box player. He wasn't a
Hmm.
holding midfielder.
Hmm.
And whenever he played deep, he was absolute
Yeah.
dog shit at times.
Yeah.
He gave his best, but his strength lies somewhere else, right?
Hmm.
So we did not have that. So until we sign the right players for the right formation, see, it's not about the modern football is different. You have a lot of players who are system players. You have six and eights, and if you recall, Paul Scholes' episode on overlap, if anyone hasn't seen it, it's an absolutely brilliant episode. Of course, Paul Scholes talks about his personal life, which is really heartening. What he is going through. That's a fantastic episode. But he also talks football, and he always says that when he and Keane played together, player moved forward and other players stayed back. That's not the case anymore.
Hmm.
You have six and eights and four and half. I find that a bit annoying, but I mean that's the way
It is what it
modern.
is. Yeah.
It is what it is, right? So unless until you have, and we were linked with Baleva, and
Hmm.
he was there was no we are going to pay 90 million after signing three attacking players.
Yeah.
There was no chance of that happening. And now we can see what's happening with Baleba, right? Probably that the link with United has, I mean, that has completely rattled him. And this is something that Fabian Husman mentioned in this press conference a couple
Hmm.
of months back. So until we get the balance of the team right, I don't think we are not. I'm not saying that we can't win a cup because we definitely can. This team is good enough to win a cup at least. But if we want to mount a proper challenge in the league, we need to get the balance right. All the great teams, they don't have great teams. Don't Of course they have great players, but the one thing they have is the great balance.
Hmm.
And right now we lack that.
No, I agree. And I'll tell you what, one thing about the 3-4-3 that I will say, right? I mean, I know that's not the point you were making, but
Yeah,
you said that it hasn't been done before, and I'm okay with that. There are a lot of things that weren't done before, right? Pep Guardiola said Tiki Taka wasn't done before, but eventually it was 4-4-2. Even the 4-4-2 at some point it came into the modern parlance and people
yeah,
started playing that. That worked. 4-2-3-1 is only a formation that we've really seen everybody use in the past 15 years or something. So I'm okay with the fact that it's not like that maybe that's something that Amorim creates a trend on, right? Maybe he goes on to win three league titles with a three-man defense. But to your point, I think it is incredibly important in terms of creating that balance in the squad. Right now, the balance isn't there in the first 11. The balance isn't even there in the squad as a whole,
no,
right? So you look at, like, let's stick to the midfield for now. Like Bruno and Casemiro are your first choice midfielders. The replacement for Bruno Fernandes is Mino, who is he exactly what Bruno is? No, he's not. You say he's a replacement, but I just read that comment. It's it's is he the same player? He's not. Bruno is a risk taker. Mainu is not a risk taker. He keeps things simple. He keeps things ticking, but he's not a risk taker.
yeah,
The replacement for Casemiro is Ugarte. Now, Ugarte can't pass the ball for shit. Casemiro is a good passer, not a great passer, but a good passer,
very
and
good
he
person. Yeah,
sniffs danger out pretty early. What is
yeah,
Ugarte good at? Exactly the opposite thing. He can't pass. He keeps it simple. But what is Ugarte good at? He's good at sort of recovery runs.
yeah.
Right? Ugarte can cover ground. He can put in the tackles, and he can do that part. Casemiro
He's
can't
a
cover the ground.
destroyer.
He's a
Yeah,
destroyer. So you have four people, all four of which are doing completely different things in terms of a skill set. Right?
true.
So where is the, like, you talk about Butt and Keane, right? They weren't the same players, but I can easily slot a Nicky Butt to do what Roy Keane does, right? And I'm talking about back in the day. You had Veron and Scholes. He wanted to play them together. It didn't happen. If a Scholes at that point never got injured or whatever it was, I could easily put in Juan Sebastian Veron and do what Scholes did. I mean, Veron was an insanely good player.
Oh my God.
Don't think of what he did at United. One Veron on his day could bloody lead any midfield in the world. So that sort of a thing, right? So
Yeah.
now we don't even have we don't have balance. We don't even have good first options in the midfield. So I absolutely agree with you. You can't give him such an imbalanced squad and then expect him to work wonders.
Yeah, yeah. Let me go through a few comments
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
there are some really good ones. Uh, uh, all right. Just hold on. I think one comment that I completely missed out on about it was about just hold on. Yeah.
I think we stopped. I think Shivranshu's comment on.
Let me go through this. Ralph Rani
Sure.
could have been a great director of football. Sure. See, that's the thing, right? That's the reason he was signed. The plan was that to have him to take basically to take a closer look at the squad. And after his tenure, the plan was that he would be in the backroom staff.
Hmm.
That did not happen. That did not. See, that's. I mean, that is Glazer regime in nutshell. This is
Yeah.
exactly what happened under Glazer. So yeah, that's it. That's a really good point. Second thing is just story. I simply don't understand how nobody at the club sees that it doesn't fucking matter how many attacking players I 100%. 100%. I have no idea. It's been 6 years, 7 years now. How come we don't have a replacement for Michael Bloody Carrick? I mean, do they not know how good Carrick was? He was a champion player. And yeah, that has been the case. I do still it's capable formation, but every time 3-4-3 has worked, either with Conte, Jabi, Tuchel, the player were more important than the system with the player were more important than the system with Amorim. It feels the other way around. Let's see. But is signing Belebov for north of 100 million with depth issues and other like see, to be very honest, I don't we need affect our that is going to matter. But we have it's not like we have a lot of money because we are under debt right now, but it's the club's own money, right? So if they're going to splash 100 million, I honestly don't care. Unless until we are getting other players in other positions, I'm absolutely I absolutely don't care about that. I don't know Rohit what you feel about this, but that's my feeling in general.
No, I do agree. Also, Bangay, I think we just lost you for about 5 seconds. We can hear you now, but
Uh,
maybe you just want to do a quick check on your internet. But no, we can hear you now. But
is that
Beach
so?
May, it was a yeah, it was. I don't know if it was just me, guys. You can just put it in the comments if it's just me. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. No, but I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, there's only so many things you can do. With what we have right now, I don't think we have enough money to really go out and get whoever we want, especially considering some of the misadventures that we've had over the past few years. But to Anshuman's point, right, to like players being more important in the system, that's a good point. But Amorim feels the system. But you know what, Anshuman, the other managers that you mentioned, right, Conte, Tuchel, Xabi Alonso, and all these guys, they did not have to deal with the garbage that United have had. Right, players being more important in the system is a good problem to have when you actually have good players. It's not a good problem to have when the players that you have are either just complete idiots or they are good but they don't want to apply themselves. So when you are in a situation the way United is right now, and I'm happy. I am incredibly happy that there's somebody who's sitting and sort of putting the system over the player. So.
Yeah. And this is a really funny comment. Rohit, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. It's a little grainy, your video, or maybe again, I think your video is just appearing a little grainy, but I can hear you, yes. Go
Okay,
ahead though.
okay.
We can hear you now.
This is
We'll anyways
this is a
wrap in a bit,
genuinely
I
funny
think. Yeah.
comment. United need a CMF with the same pressing. Okay, okay. United need a CMF with the same pressing abilities with Shubhranshu Kar as while typing his keyboard so much. This is a
Hey
genuinely funny comment.
man. Yeah. Hey, we all appreciated love Shuvranshu and his comments. So as Shuvranshu, if you're able to replicate your comments with also, are you available to play for midfield for Man United? Please do go in there. We could definitely use Shuvranshu in center midfield.
Rohit, tell me if this is okay now.
Your video is grainy, but okay, now I think it's a little better. We can hear you now, but your video is a little grainy.
Oh, is that so? I don't know what the issue is. All of a sudden,
So
it
that's what happens when you chat
started.
shit about the that's what happens when you chat shit about the 3-4-3.
Rohit, what I'll do is I'll just
No
rejoin
worries, no
the
worries.
stream
Yeah.
RTA. Give me a moment. You carry on. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think what Shivranshu is saying, you can see how agitated I am with United. Well, aren't we all, Shivranshu? Rangnick saw how complicated this relationship and said, nah. Oh, oof. I wouldn't have touched United with a barge pole if, during that time, because we saw the kind of players that had come in. We saw Cristiano come in and absolutely sting the place up. He was good, obviously, but I mean, it wasn't really working. So nothing was really working at that point. Shivranshu says that's a problem. We spend all our money on one high profile player and we learn vibes for the rest of the position. Hey man, vibes and hope is all United have been running on for the past. Shivranshu says if you need the Clarence Seedorf of Sunday League second division, come in, man. Hey, we could use a Clarence Seedorf of not just a Sunday League. We could use like a 80 80 kilo Clarence Seedorf with a pint of beer in his hand, and he'd still probably do a better job than some of the options we have in midfield. So please go in, Shivranshu. We need you, man. You know the big match theory will always be clapping for you. So, but to sort of cap things off, Mangesh, to end things, I mean, maybe you want to start off and talk about the future and what the future holds for Amorim, and maybe in terms of what A, you would want him to continue, and B, want him to change.
See, I'm not a fan of, in the sense, telling manager to change something. See, one thing which is completely non-footballing that I would like to see differently is, see, he's a very good communicator when he's talking to the press. When he's a good communicator when he's talking to the media and the fans. So, but the thing with him is, see what. Of course, we fall back to the glorious Ferguson days. But what Ferguson used to do is, if a player is not going to play, he used to make sure that he had a conversation with him beforehand, and he used to give some ridiculous reasons. So basically, he told Nicky Butt once that, yeah, currently the grass is a bit high and the pitch is a bit hard. So in December you'll be my player. Something on the lines. He used to say.
Yeah.
Told that to Nicky Butt. He told Gary Neville once that there is some ultras at Chelsea. That is the reason he's not starting at Stamford Bridge. Something like that. But at the same time, the what players feel at the time is they feel they are part of something despite not playing.
Hmm.
From what I've seen with Ruben Amorim is, when it comes to one-on-one communication, of course we can't expect him to be what Ferguson was, uh, but he kind of come across as a bit abrasive. So I think I don't want him to make the same mistake that Mourinho did with Luke Shaw. So if you recall, when
Hmm.
Mourinho joined United, Luke Shaw had a horrible surgery. He was out for a few months, for 7 to 8 months. And when Luke Shaw, when he joined United squad, Mourinho was a bit abrasive with him, because that's the thing with Mourinho was, right? That he did not like players who were injured. So if
Hmm.
you recall the first game of 15-16 season, when he fell out with that Chelsea doctor, what's his name?
Eva something,
Carbanero,
yeah. Her name, yeah, Sara.
Her name, Eva
Yeah.
Carbanero or something like that. But he fell out with her because at the time Eden Hazard was injured. Of course, I'm not saying Amorim was doing that, because it was Mourinho. It was completely Mourinho's department.
Eva Carnero. Eva
Eva
carbonara
Carnero.
sounds like something I'm going to eat for lunch today. I wouldn't mind a nice
Yeah,
carbonara.
yeah. But I don't want him to make the same mistake that Mourinho did.
Mm.
I wish he has. See what Andy Mitton wrote, either Andy Mitton or Laurie
Whitwell.
Whitwell wrote, was that he gives feedback in the group. Again, it is his style. This is something that works better for him. And as I said, he's a millennial manager. He understands players' emotions much better than your Mourinho's or Van Hals of the world. But I hope he somehow improves on that. I don't know if it's for us to say, because it is his style. But I hope he doesn't make that mistake. That's one not exactly grouse, but I think that is one thing he could be doing differently.
It's funny you say that because I think I sort of laughed when I heard. So apparently there was this feedback sessions that were going on, and he asked Garnacho to basically go out and find a club and all of that. And within that, Ugarte caught a stray because he looked at Ugarte and said, "You're not the same player that I had at what do you call it? That I had at Sporting Lisbon." Imagine somebody who's having a go. I'm like, if I was Ugarte, I would be like, wait, I just got here like 6 months ago. Why am I
Yeah,
the one
yeah.
catching strays when you've got Garnacho and Rashford dropping shit bombs for about 12 months?
I mean, there is a possibility that he might have done that to send a message to other players. There is a possibility
Maybe.
of that.
Mm.
Yeah, just because me and Manu are bros, I mean,
Yeah,
that
maybe.
doesn't mean he's going. Yeah, there is a possibility of that. Should I be saying, Mangesh, remember Carbonero from
Who's
Casillas'
that?
ex?
Who's
I
this?
exactly. You don't remember it? So
The
after,
is that the interviewer?
yeah.
Ah, I do
It was
remember
it was
that.
his
Yeah.
wife. Yeah. And yeah, she is hot,
That's Sarah
or she was hot.
Carbonero.
Yeah,
Sarah
yeah,
Car-
she was hot at the time.
Carbonero. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So that's one thing. I mean, that's one related to communication. See, there is no point in me saying that Ruben Amorim should not use this player in this position, considering he
Of
understands
course.
football. Uh,
It's a little bit
also
better
more
than the
than
both of us. Yeah.
a little
Hmm.
bit better than the entire fan base combined.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. See, I would like to know what your views are on this topic.
I'll tell you, see, the only thing I'd probably want Amorim to, and I know he won't do it right away, but at least be open to the idea of if your formation or if something isn't working, be open to the idea of even if it is temporarily switching over. Now, I'm not saying he necessarily has to change his formation, but there are certain things that he does, right? Where recently we saw him changing center halves every game. Like there'll always be a center half somewhere. I'm like, what? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Why do you always have to get Lenny Euro off? Why? So probably his substitutions is something that does sort of annoy me a little bit. So his in-game management is probably one thing that I hope he sort of improves. And the other probably would be his almost this worshipping that he does of Bruno. Because listen, Bruno is our best player. He's the best post for his signing. We all love him, no doubt about it. But he's human too. There are games when Bruno is dropping absolute horrendous performances, but he still won't get hooked. So that is one thing. So apart from his in-game management, which could see some improvement, I think this over reliance on Bruno eventually might end. But at least I hope he opens his horizon to thinking about that. That's about it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's go to one last comment. Sir Alex used to ridicule gigs in front of the locker room to send a message to younger players. That is true. And Alex Ferguson used to do that with Wayne Rooney as well. And Wayne Rooney said a few days back, I think, that he scored a hat trick and he was getting hammered for, I think, playing badly. And Wayne Rooney said, "What the fuck are you on?" This was his reaction before realizing that this was mainly for Nani. And this was
Uh,
mainly for Nani and Ronaldo because, see, Ronaldo was a bit sensitive. Let's not talk about Ronaldo right now, but
yeah.
Ronaldo was a bit sensitive when he was at United that he used to. I mean, there were times when he cried on the pitch because he could not handle Fergie's hairdryer. The
Hmm.
same could be said about Nani, and yeah, I mean that's a good point. And Shivranshu is saying, Ruben Baba, don't get us relegated. I took finishing 59. No, I don't think that will happen. I don't think that will happen. Especially since Sunderland came, we have done much better than we did last season. So I think we are on the right track. There is a possibility that we get new signings during January window. Uh, we need a wing back at any cost. I mean, for Ruben Amorim, in his Sporting Lisbon days, wing backs provided creativity, and I think Dorgu is not bad as a lot of people think he is. I think he's a good
But
option
he's
to
still
have on the left hand
young,
side.
man. He's still very young.
But
Still
still,
learning. Yeah.
he's getting groomed right from the start, right? I'm
Right.
absolutely fine with that. But I think we probably need a wing back
Hmm.
and center midfielder.
Hmm.
That's about it.
I agree.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. If there is nothing else, we can close this. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Thank you, Shivranshu. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rohan. And we shall see you soon. At the next game, we are playing against Everton. So I think we'll not be able to do the watch along, right? Because it is at 1:30 IST. So
Oh,
you guys will be busy, right? At the time.
when is it a midweek game?
Yeah, it's a midweek game.
Oh, when is the game? I didn't even know.
Monday night. Monday night. Yeah, Monday night.
Oh, that'll be
Tuesday
like my Monday
afternoon.
afternoon. I
Yeah.
probably not, but yeah, let's see.
I'll try to do it. That is for sure. And Anshul, yeah,
I'll
will you
try to
guys
join.
do?
I'll definitely try and join.
Yeah, yeah. We have done it for a couple of games, but let's see what happens. Let's see. watch along with Mangesh alone. Yeah, let's see. Let's see. We can have a guest. Let's see what happens.
I'll try and pop in as well. I will. Let's see. Hopefully my
Done. Done.
Monday isn't too bad. Let me not jinx it though.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good weekend and bye bye.
Thank you guys. Bye.